been there, I encourage you to get down. I know I've seen Councilman Napoli there. I know that on April 11th, I saw a council person, Gerlach, down at the encampment helping with the cleanup. But at that point, that portion of the Jordan Creek embankment had probably 5 or 6 tents and a lot of accumulation of debris that we cleaned up. Some people did more work than others. I probably didn't pick up my allotted tonnage, but I know that a bunch of other people picked up and made sure that it was as clean as possible. And we cleaned it up knowing that we were going to see people who were going to be leaving the Y and leaving the confines of the Y and leaving temporary shelter at the Y come down and camp at this area. And I think at that point, speaking to a couple of folks down there, I determined that the city was not going to, because we had no other place for people to go, that we were not going to eject any encampment that occurred there, that we're going to approach the work compassionately and try to give people stability for as long as we could give them stability, that as long as conditions did not change, as long as people were doing what they could do to keep that area clean and to keep that area stable, we were going to give them an opportunity to have some level of stability. I visited the encampment, which I think we'll call it the encampment for purposes of this conversation. I visited the encampment multiple times over the next couple of months. I got to talk to a handful of people down there and understand what was going on. In fact, the first time that I came down in May, I talked to Hanif, and the first question that Hanif asked me was, what are we going to do here? This is not how we should be living. What are we going to do? And I talked to him about what we were committed to as a city, which is continuing to support the supply of housing, the construction of more housing, that the way that we're going to provide opportunity for people to get out of homelessness was to build more housing. And he and I agreed that it was going to take a long time and that we didn't have a great alternative while we were doing that. But that was the first question he asked me because he knew that it wasn't sustainable to be in tents on the bank of the Jordan forever. I kept coming down. I met folks like Jess Cruz. I met folks like Doug, who tells me that his girlfriend is in Dallas and he wants to grab a bus ticket and go see her. I met folks who were working various different jobs and in tents while they were trying to find stability and trying to find housing. I met lots of different people and heard lots of different stories and escalated our commitment to the site. So at some point, we rolled a dumpster down there to give folks an opportunity to dispose of accumulated litter and trash. I talked to Julie extensively about challenges that she faced in finding a place to go to the bathroom, and we brought down a porta potty. I was committed to getting us through the encampment, through the season. Excuse me. Committed to getting us through the season, getting us through the opening time for the YMCA, which would be November 15th. I knew it wasn't ideal, but it was what we could do for the moment. And that was all dependent upon conditions not changing. On July 22nd, I came down on May 18th, I went down with firefighter Perot to warn folks at the encampment that there was there were flash flood warnings and that we were worried about people's life safety. And firefighter Perot and I went to that encampment. We went to the other side of the Jordan and we went to another site just to let people know that there was flooding coming and that we were worried about their ongoing safety. That night, firefighter Perot pulled, I believe, 3 people out of our waterways in the city who were floating down on tents because they'd been affected by flash flooding. They didn't take the warning seriously. When I went down on July 22nd to just check in on folks because I hadn't been there in a couple weeks, that was when I could see that we had a porta potty there. We had the dumpsters. And I felt like I was saying to somebody, it was the cleanest I'd seen it. It looked good. It looked orderly. People had worked out some systems. People were putting themselves in a position to start to get out. Later that day, I received an email from our fire department indicating that from fire administration, indicating that in light of the flooding that occurred in Texas, they reviewed the area around the Jordan encampment for its presence in the floodplain. And the determination was that there was a life safety issue associated with flooding. And that in the opinion of the fire department, I'm paraphrasing, we could not continue to sustain the encampment as it was, that we would have to ask people to move from the encampment. I had to make a hard decision at that point that which involves a lot of trade-offs that I recognize. I recognize that we are asking people to leave a place that provided some level of stability to them and that we're disrupting their lives. The trade-off that I recognize, and I hope you all as council people recognize, and I hope that folks here in the city of Allentown recognize, is that we're trading off the lack of stability and the impact that disruptions will have on people who are trying to get it back together. We're trading that off for the risk of catastrophic activity through flooding. We're recognizing that it's better to ask people to find somewhere else to be than to inform their family that their loved ones have lost their lives in a flood. That's what we're evaluating. I take seriously the professional opinion of our emergency services team and the Allentown Fire Department. They are professionals.
That's the only reason, my man.
Please, no comments. You'll have an opportunity to speak. Thank you.
That is the only timeline that we're following. So the gentleman back there mentioned the pending litigation from the Hyman companies. That doesn't impact the decisions that we make. The timeline of the YMCA being able to open on November 15th doesn't impact the decision to evacuate this encampment on August 25th. We're driven by safety, and we're driven by concern for the lives of the people who are down there now, because we are entering hurricane season. We're entering a period of unpredictable weather and a period of extreme weather. We don't want to put ourselves in a position where we're fishing somebody out of that creek. That is a completely unacceptable outcome. We recognize that right now, people don't have a lot of other options that aren't put in place. We're working, and I'm going to ask City Council, and I think after we hear from folks, that'll give you an opportunity to help with your decision making. But I'm going to ask City Council for a couple things tonight. First, I'm going to ask you to support financially the YMCA in an effort to open our emergency warming station early. Right now, the Y is scheduled to reopen the warming station on November 15th. There's a handful of people down there, including my friend Doug, who I met at the YMCA the first time. He had to leave on April 15th because they closed for the season and then began summer camps. The hope was that we'd be able to hold out until November 15th. What I'm going to ask you to do tonight is provide funding that will allow the YMCA to open early. I've been in conversations with the YMCA. I think we can get open early. I don't know exactly how early, but the commitment is to get open early. And that only happens with the support of City Council. So the first thing I'll ask you to do is to commit funds to getting the YMCA open. The other thing that I'm going to commit to you is not an ask, but a report that we will conduct a feasibility study for a feasibility study of a safe camping site. This is one alternative that I think you heard about last week, that Harrisburg is experimenting with a safe camping site. I think we should give City Council the information it needs to make an informed decision about a commitment of resources to safe camping. So I believe that we can prepare a good report for City Council that will allow you to understand the risks associated with a safe camping site and the benefits associated with a safe camping site, and to have a better understanding of the costs involved, because it will not be free of cost. The results of that feasibility study will be a recommendation to City Council on how to move forward with a price tag associated with it. And then it'll be up to City Council to determine how they want to fund that in the 2025 fiscal year, and then ideally going forward into the 2026 fiscal year. I believe we can accomplish that in 60 days with support from various different departments at the City of Allentown, along with support from government partners in Lehigh County and at the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, nonprofit partners like the United Way and the Conference of Churches, and Valley Health Partners Street Medicine, as well as members of City Council and members of the Commission on Homelessness. I think we can give you a report that will help you make an informed decision. But I think that in order to have a helpful report, it would take 60 days. Along the way, we may present to City Council an early plan. If during our discovery period we find that there's a good opportunity, we'd ask City Council to support something like that if it makes sense. But I think in order to have a reasonable plan that you can evaluate and make an informed decision, I'd like to ask for 60 days to present something to you, perhaps at the second council meeting in October. That's what we have. I do apologize for taking as long, but I do believe that this is an item that requires a lot of discussion and a lot of conversation. I want to thank you again for your time and for your interest in supporting all of the residents of the City of Allentown. Their safety and their health is paramount. I know you all take that charge seriously. Our administration does as well. I'd finish by saying we don't like doing this. This is part of the challenge that we face as public servants. We have to do things that are hard, but they're the right things to do. The easy thing to do sometimes is just let things be the way they are. The hard things is to stand up and do it the right way. And when we are facing this type of challenge, we're going to have to continue to make hard decisions, but they stink. And I've said that to everybody that I've visited down in the encampment over the past couple of days. I was just down there today. They stink. This isn't what we want to have to do. But we're going to have to continue to face hard decisions like this in the future. And it's not going to feel good. And we're going to upset our friends. But we have to do the right thing. So I want you to think about that. And I hand the mic back to you, Council President.
Hey, if you evict,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So you know
Please. There'll be an opportunity to speak.
I understand, but I can't speak to him. So I gotta speak to him right now. If you evict, we're camping out at City Hall. Just so you know, where everybody's coming. I told you 2 years ago.
Sir, you'll have an opportunity to speak.
You're right.
Your turn.
You're right.
Thank you.
I'll get started. I mean, listen, first and foremost, thank you, Mayor Turk, for all that background. It's, we obviously have short-term and long-term challenges. I'm going to look at the short term. Obviously, the YMCA is the fastest and most opportune, the best opportunity to try and get some of this resolved. So after everyone speaks here, I'll make a motion to take all necessary actions to expend city funds for the early opening of the warming station and provide that opportunity for some of our residents.
Thank you, Mr. Napoli. I too want to say, I appreciate your remarks.
Okay.
I'll second.
And what's most important here is public safety. I spent a career as a police officer, and there's nothing more important than the safety of the citizens of this city. To allow people down there with the risk of flooding, I've watched a lot of the news, as I'm sure everybody here has. And even in this area, the flooding that occurred after some of our rains this summer, we've had a lot of torrential raining.
Mr. Adams, what was this concern 2 years
And
ago
so
when I
for
brought
that
this concern 2
reason-
years ago? What was this concern 2 years
Sir.
ago, my friend?
Please.
I brought this two
All right,
years
I've
ago.
warned you twice now.
Okay, you're right.
Please.
You're
Thank
right. I just want to remind you, we were here 2 years ago about the same topic.
And for those reasons, I too, it's a very unfortunate thing we have to do. But I have to concur with our fire chief that it's necessary. And what we can do now is do the best to find alternative locations for them. And that is the most important thing. So, Ms. Gerlach.
Yes, thank you. So thank you, Councilperson Napoli, for making that motion. When we do actually discuss that motion, I have a bit of a friendly amendment to it. But in addition to that motion, let's see here. I have one motion that I'm going to save to the very end because it depends on how things go tonight. The other motion that I would like to make is to, time is of the essence. We've got people who aren't going to have a place to go on August 25th, and it's cool that the Y might possibly open early, especially if we're able to get the money to them. But as we all know, the Y isn't going to help everyone. If you got a kid, if you don't want to drag your stuff in and out, I mean, nobody wants to do that. Wake up at 7 a.m., have to take your stuff out and then get back. And then it's a bit much. So some people, I mean, would prefer to keep all their stuff in the tent and, or preferably a house. But under these conditions, these current conditions, a tent. So we know that some people will go to the Y, and that's awesome. But as the mayor had stated, he does want to explore having a safe camping site. I am proposing let's speed things up. Instead of 60 days, 30 days. Because I say this because we've got sites in the city of Allentown, not to put our business on blast, but we've been texting some of those sites. They exist right now. You can Google them. You can go on Zillow right now and find these sites in which you can lease right now. We don't need 60 days. It was referenced in Harrisburg. In Harrisburg, this is how they did it. Marsha has a nonprofit in Harrisburg, and the way she got the land, now in her case, she purchased it. I don't think we necessarily should purchase land yet. I think we should lease until we can kind of get our bearings on how we're going to do this. But she purchased the land. The county worked with her, and she got the land. I called her up a couple days ago. She don't know what she's doing. She's figuring it out. She doesn't have a budget in terms of the actual operations of the location. The only budget she had was the land. So I understand when we're here, we want everything, all the I's to be dotted, the T's to be crossed. We want everything perfect and a nice little package. Sometimes it can't be when it's such an urgent matter. We just need a parcel of land, a parking lot where people can go instead of just saying, good luck. And that doesn't take 60 days. So the official language of my motion is to direct the administration to work with the county to identify and acquire a parcel of land to lease and or purchase, and also include all city and county owned properties within 30 days to be used as an initial temporary safe camping location, and to work with agencies serving the unsheltered, developers, the philanthropic community, the business community, those with lived experience, and other stakeholders during the process. So that's the official language of the motion. It essentially is saying feasibility study is cool, let's do that, but let's get the land first and get people a place to go and follow Marsha's lead in Harrisburg.
I'll second that.
Other than that, I do have my last ditch effort, so I'll save that. The friendly amendment I would like to make to Mr. Napoli's motion is to give a specific amount I am well aware that people can make promises and then not fulfill their promises. I do know it will, it's about 50,000 each month for the Y to operate. So I say, since there are commitments from other folks, let's hold them to that. But then the specific amount I would say for us would be 50,000. I believe we have Mr. Hamlin is account 46, I believe.
Yes.
Yes. So I believe that we take the friendly amendment would be to take 50,000 from account 46. Mind you, if these other folks don't hold up to their end of the bargain, we might have to be back here and distribute more money. It's the county and the developer.
No, it's the county and a nonprofit
And a
philanthropic organization.
Oh, he's giving the
So
money to them. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where. So we had suggested 25 from the city, from the administration, then 25 from council to get the 50.
I will feel comfortable if it's half and half.
All right. So,
Well,
and you'll do that.
hell yeah.
Got you. So 25 from us,
Mhm.
friendly amendment to the friendly amendment. So 25 from us and then 25 from the mayor. And then we'll see what happens with the other folks. That's my friendly
I
amendment.
think
Thank
that's
you.
fair enough.
Mr. President, if I may, as a procedural, you have two motions on the floor at the moment. You can't do that. You have Mr. Napoli's motion, and now you have Ms. Gerlach's motion.
Yes, we do.
You need to,
All right, we're gonna.
I think what you need to do is take care of Mr. Napoli first, however that gets disposed of, and then Ms. Gerlach's motion and any amendments that are made and seconded would certainly be in order at that point in time. But take care of your business in order so things do not get confusing. Okay?
I think that probably Ms. Gerlach wanted to make sure that that was all on the table prior to any additional discussion.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair.
Yeah, I did. And yes, and we're supposed to only have one motion at a time. But yeah, I definitely did want that out there.
And if I could, Ms. Gerlach and I have been having this kind of conversation about the continuum that we're on as a city since at least April 11th. When we were picking up trash, we were talking about how we could compassionately meet the needs of people at a site like that. And we talked about what safe camping would look like. We talked about what a tiny home village would look like and the various different challenges associated with it. So we've been batting this around for months. I think finding that assistance from people with lived experience, people from the philanthropic community, et cetera, to help deliver a plan is important. While we're continuing to develop feasibility, and that's what I alluded to earlier, is if we find something that works, like we have to do it. And if that means that a nonprofit organization steps up, acquires land, can get through the zoning process to allow for camping on that site, if it means that a private property owner is willing to allow camping on their site and not violate zoning or can meet the various different needs, like we as a city will work to meet those needs or meet the needs of the people who are looking for somewhere to stay. But I think that's probably a discussion for your second motion.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this then.
I'm in favor of Ms. Gerlach's friendly amendment, so I'm good with that.
Okay, do you need someone to second it?
Ms. Gerlach did.
No, I second the friendly, or no, I made the friendly amendment, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, staying on the first motion, and any other comments from the dais?
Okay, so that motion would be that, to take all necessary action to expend funds to create the early opening of the Allentown warming station and to have council expend $25,000 and the mayor.
And the administration.
$25,000. So we'll take all necessary action to do that. You might not need none, but we'll make sure that that's done.
That works.
Good with that?
So what you're saying is that we don't need a resolution to do this?
That is,
That this is
No, just do it.
Perhaps you might be able to do it with no resolution next time.
perfect, okay.
Figure that out. Do you want to vote on this resolution and the next what do you want to do about public comment?
well, we should probably take public comment first.
On this resolution, on this
On this
motion.
motion. Yeah.
Yes,
Can someone restate it so people know, because I don't want people to get yelled at that they're saying the wrong thing.
Okay, so basically, this is a motion to take all necessary action to expend funds for the early opening of the Allentown warming station. And that such expenditure shall include $25,000 from city council and $25,000 from the mayor, at least.
At least I think is the key
At
piece,
least.
because if we do
At
need to
least.
come back and
Yes.
expend additional funds, the administration's committed to doing that, and it sounds like council is committed to doing that as well.
If I could, just because this is some people's very first time in City Hall, yet alone at a council meeting. So a lot of people are here and you want to talk about the encampment, you will get your chance to speak. But just make sure if you're going to come up now, it's got to be about us giving money to the Y. It can't be about anything else. It has to be about us giving money to the Y, because if not, you'll be told you're not talking about the right thing. You'll be told to sit down. So unless it's about giving money to the Y, wait to come up till later.
Mr. President, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Just to make it clear, right now, it's 25,000 from council and 25 from the minister. What about the county? Have we approached them for that money?
When I mentioned to a few folks that we've been working to secure a commitment from the county has to go through a similar process. So County Executive Armstrong and I talked about the county matching our expenditure. He still has to go to the county commissioners and convince them, but he assures me that county commissioners are also committed to expending these funds. And then from the philanthropic organization, they've been a partner in this work. So we know that we will be able to, with council support, pull the money together. The next piece of work is making sure that we can get the YMCA, and the YMCA has made commitments to getting open early as well. They just need to be able to fund the operations, which I told you costs about $50,000 a month.
So right now, we just need the 50 grand for now.
At least.
Correct, that's how
what I'm
much
saying for
we're.
now.
He's saying
And-
at least.
Sure.
At least.
At least.
So.
But keeping in mind that you all, as a city council, you presently in the 2025 budget, you have budgeted, I believe, $75,000 for support of the warming station, which is matched by the county. So this is an additional 50 from the general fund to support the warming station. And as you think about the 2026 budget, I think our intent is that we find a way to work with, and this is beyond the motion, but that we find a way to work with the YMCA to establish a year-round warming shelter. Because all that preamble was to say that we are in an environment we might not have thought that we were in the past, but Allentown is at a place as a city where we cannot continue to operate like this.
Thank you.
We will need year-round warming shelter, and we will need city council and the county of Lehigh and the private sector and the philanthropic community to step up and support that work. So we'll be back in 2026 asking city council to support a year-round shelter.
Thank you.
Okay. Because of the number of cards that we received this evening, public comment will be limited to 1 minute for a person. If it's a group, it'll be 2 minutes. So please adhere by that.
But to Ms.
And
Gerlach's point, this is
Yeah,
about
to
this
Ms.
particular.
Gerlach's point, anyone that comment now will be strictly on the funding to open the Y early. If you wanted to speak on another subject, hold off to do that. Okay?
Would you like to do this? Because the cards, I don't know what they're speaking about, but just have people come to the podium to speak on the issue of giving the money, and I'll give that a minute. The cards are in all different things, so I don't think I can go through the cards. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Was there a motion for the time limit? Because it's pretty ridiculous, going from an organization from 5 minutes to 2 minutes is insanity. Did anybody vote on that, or just randomly? the
No,
president
there's no vote to be taken on that.
No,
They don't wanna
just
hear the truth
randomly
today.
go from 5 minutes to 2 minutes? That's pretty tough.
You do not want to hear the truth today. I thought we were going to have a chance to speak. You just
Excuse-
told me that.
Excuse me,
And I need more than 1 minute.
Mayor, I'm a private contractor and I work, within the community. I do everything and whatever it takes. What is the number that you need to open this warming center? How much money do you need?
It's $50,000 a month.
Okay. I'm willing, to step up to the plate, and help donate, all right?
There's somebody from the United Way back here,
Okay.
Laura McHugh. Let's talk after this, but
Okay.
tell me your name.
Scott Van Dyne.
Thank you, Scott.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
sir.
Thank you very much,
You
sir.
promised me I was gonna be able to speak, right?
I would like to appeal to
1
council
minute, not good
president
enough,
to
sir.
possibly, I understand people don't want to be here 20 hours, I get that. And I also, there are people here who literally are gonna go back to a tent tonight and they are here to speak. So I feel pretty,
Going to have that opportunity to speak.
1 minute, I would like to appeal to council president and my colleagues to extend that. Let's do some compromising here. How about 2 minutes and then 3 minutes for organization? I know it's not perfect, but it's better than one.
Yeah.
Could you,
Not gonna
could
do
you,
that at once.
could you do this? Could you put, and I'm just suggesting this, could you put both motions on the floor and then have people come up and speak to both motions under normal circumstances?
I don't know, Robert's rule, I don't know. Can we do that?
What are
I don't
your
think we can.
rules?
I think you can only discuss one motion.
That's-
You guys are in uncharted territory. Look, first of all, we got Mr. Napoli's motion on the floor. You wanted to amend that, correct? That amendment is not on the floor.
A friendly amendment.
It doesn't matter. Amendments are amendments. So, but typically the order with which you would do that is the motion would be made and seconded. You would make a motion to amend the motion. You would get second. You would discuss the amendment first. You would vote on the amendment first, and then you would vote on the principal motion.
With all due respect, all this chatter is eating into people's time. And like, let's just
Like,
give
you're 12
people
minutes
two,
into our time.
give people 2 minutes
3 minutes.
and roll.
1 to 2 minutes.
I mean, I'm appealing to my colleagues. People are here 2 minutes and then 3 minutes for an org.
I'm fine with the 2 minutes, as long as the group is here, that they will raise their hand, and there are, if I come up to speak and I'm speaking for a group, that means the 5 or 6 people in the group are not going to speak. And with a raise of hands, that they can have their 2 minutes, or a minute, or whatever you decide.
2 minutes.
So what happens is they come up and say for a group, and there's no group here.
So are we good with 2 minutes per person and 3 minutes per org?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that. I
And-
second it if it needs to be
All right.
seconded.
Are we good from the crowd to right? As long as we're good from the crowd to respect the 2 minute timer, right?
Yes.
Like when you hear the timer, like wrap it up, right?
Yes.
You say when the
But,
time
but,
is.
but I do have a problem. If we're gonna do this legally, and don't you think that we should do this the right way?
Yes.
So let's amend this then.
Thank you. Yes, get that over. Thank you.
So my question is, where are our
To
solicitors?
everybody, what they're doing.
should
So
have
right
a
now you're voting
solicitor
on the
here.
amendment.
So, I mean, technically, the second already happened to the amendment. One of you all seconded the actual money amount. So that has been followed. If we want to stick to process, then we go ahead and we hear from folks. But we go ahead, we have the vote on the amendment, if that's what we need to do.
Why
And
don't
then
Let's
we
follow
vote
the
on
process.
the motion.
Withdraw the motion and just make one amendment and just motion and discuss that.
Especially now since the gentleman so graciously is donating 50,000. That
He
kind of,
never said 50,000, he's gonna say he's gonna make a donation.
So, however, we're in for 25.
For
You're in
what?
for 25.
We're in for 25.
Yeah.
Here we were.
Just withdraw your motion. I'll withdraw my second, and then we'll start from scratch.
So I'll withdraw my initial motion to amend it. So I'll start over, Mr. Hanlon, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to take all necessary action to expend funds for the early opening of the Allentown YMCA warming station. Those funds will include $25,000 from city council funds and $25,000 from the administration. And we'll start with at least that amount and revisit later if needed.
And I'll second.
There you go.
All right.
okay, any comments from the dais? Okay, now I'm going to open up the comments from the public. We're going to stick with the 2 minutes per individual. If you're here representing an organization, please limit it to 3 minutes.
Regarding this motion. Regarding this motion.
Yes.
Regarding the funding of the YMCA.
Why?
Right.
Only the why.
So you'd be speaking to the expenditure of funds for the early opening of the Y only. at this point in
I
time.
don't think nobody's gonna put up a fight on that one.
Does anybody want
Everybody
to
happy with that?
Wait, no, it looks like someone wanna talk back there. All right, if you do wanna speak, just come to the mic.
Yeah.
And maybe, back in the day, we should form like a little line. Yeah, just 100% in line. Only about the why though, only about the why.
Okay. Greetings, everyone. Thanks for a chance. Hi, Mayor. Thanks for everyone willing to come to the table here tonight in the interest of compassion and humanity. I think the Y should be funded, but I think you should also be aware that that is a solution geared primarily for the safety and comfort of men. At the Y, they do not enforce the rules. We all sign when we go in there. You must be respectful to other guests. And I can tell you that I've been verbally harassed, explicitly sexually harassed, bullied, and I have told the staff, they've done it in front of the staff, and nobody ever did anything for me. So I know I'm only one person, and maybe they're only like, the Y supports maybe 12 or 20 women, but it's not completely safe there for them. Nobody enforces the rules, and if you ask anybody to respect the rules, then you're gonna get a verbal beatdown, and nobody ever said, you can't talk like this to another guest. Nobody ever did that. I emailed people above the people who were there in the room. They said they'd take care of it. Nobody took care of it. So like when somebody says, oh, your solution is to go back to Y, I'm like shaking. I'm like terrified because like I don't want to go back and be verbally abused, sexually explicitly abused, humiliated and bullied. So fund the Y, but be aware that that is not a solution for the safety of women in this community. And please keep that in mind because the amount of distress that I have to think that my only choice is a Y is like I'd rather die. Thanks.
Thank you. Please.
I just want to
Yes, sir.
address, hi,
Good
sir, my name is Ryan Lamb. I've been at the YMCA about 2 years now, right? I used to live in the Poconos. My mom just moved to Florida. That's why I'm stuck here. But the thing is, the YMCA is only open during the winter. So it depends on the time or the traffic. In the morning, they have to leave at 6:45 and get back to the line in the back of the parking lot across the street by the field at the YMCA at 7 o'clock. Sometimes it's winter, there's elderly people. They provide, a meal going in, security at the door, put stuff in luggage and give you a ticket for your luggage in storage with a shower and I think it's 10 o'clock curfew. But there's that traffic going to daybreak in the morning to keep warm in the winter, which is a big issue with a lot of people, especially it's open only from November 15th to April 15th. So at summer, it's like, well, now it's a relief to camp because some people are elderly and need help. Some people need, and they head to daybreak because it's breakfast, lunch, dinner at the church's a conference. But the most they provide is like if you get a check from Social Security or disability, or you have to just claim like you're halfway on NA because that's the only way they help you there with an apartment program. They help a few people with apartment programs I've met throughout the years, a couple of friends, and sometimes it's just hard getting back and forth. 6:45 in the winter is a
Yes, yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Eddie Aviles with Eddie Cares.
Please move up and speak to the mic if you
You guys
would.
know who I am. Okay, I don't have to reintroduce myself. Okay, Eddie Aviles with Eddie Cares. All right. Thank you for putting a Band-Aid on a wound this big.
Sir.
Okay, wait.
Address me.
I'm saying thank you.
Address
Okay?
me, address
Okay,
council.
I can't thank you because we've been here 2 years. We've been at this same subject about the same camp. Mama Bear, stand up real quick. There she goes. 2 years ago, I came to you about this discussion when there was 25 people there. Now we want to stuff them in a temporary solution, okay? This isn't it, guys. I have a solution for you, temporary and permanently, and I'm here to announce Occupy Allentown if you evict. I told you to educate yourself on Occupy St. Louis 2 years ago, and I don't know if you did, but you're gonna educate yourself now. If you guys evict,
I'm not going to tell you again. You address me, not the mayor.
Your house, and your house.
All right. You're going to be removed in a minute. All right.
Okay?
Please.
I'm letting you know we will be camping out if you guys evict.
Be respectful.
Right here. I am being respectful, sir. I'm letting you know about my constitutional rights and what's going to happen if you guys evict. I will be representing the people of Allentown. Okay? And we will be camping out right here in front of City Hall, in front of your house, sir, in front of your house, ma'am, in front of your house, in front of your house.
Right.
Your house. Exercising our constitutional rights. And I'm going to start with your house. This whole camping, once you get evicted, come follow me. I promise to find you a solution.
Where's your PIN number?
Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you.
Bye. I'll see you guys later. I will be in front of every one of your houses. Remember Occupy Allentown. Remember Occupy St. Louis.
That's not gonna help your problem.
It's gonna help.
It's
Why?
not gonna help shit.
You why? Everything you guys have been doing, I've got nowhere, guys.
Why is he still
It's time
here?
for something
We have
new.
police in here.
Okay?
Why?
Everything you guys have done, you got nowhere with these guys. It's time for something new.
It's like
And
a
I'm gonna make it happen. Occupy Allentown. It's gonna happen.
Sir. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Calvin Riddick, born and raised here in the city of Allentown. This is kicking the can down the road. It's not a solution. You got to find these people a place to go. They need housing. You make $7.25 an hour in the state of Pennsylvania as minimum wage. The rent is over $1,400 in the city of Allentown for a one-bedroom apartment.
Thank you.
Half these people have issues, either drug addiction, mental issues. They could have just fell hard on their luck and couldn't pay the rent. Their landlord's in a rush to put them out and raise the rent to $1,400 for one bedroom. Putting them in the YMCA is not gonna do it. Nat Hyman is complaining about the people being down there, but he has vacancies and refused to work with these agencies to put people in them. So that's half the problem right there. Get these people into housing. Don't push them from camp to camp, from shelter to shelter. It ain't helping them. The ones that are on drugs, get them in rehab and then help them with an apartment when they get out. They're mentally challenged, help them. Put them in housing, get them a nurse to come there and make sure they're taking their meds. You gotta help these people, you just can't push them back and forth. You just can't. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
How are you, Council? Thank you for listening. My name is Jay Anderson. I haven't been a part of the Y the last year or two, and I also live at the encampment on Jordan. So I have a little bit of knowledge about what's going on. I know the Y is only a temporary solution, and a lot of people don't like going there because they may have pets or they may have situations. But I understand that the Y is a lifeline. So if you could get it open early, I think that will really help a lot of people. I know we need housing. I just got a proof of Social Security, so I do have income coming in. So I will be able to afford some sort of housing on my SSD. But, the temporary solution, I think, is the Y. I feel bad for Julie, who spoke about the issues that she had with some people there, which I never heard about. But the Y has metal detectors, strict adherence to not going out and coming back in to safeguard its residents or clients, excuse me. But I really think that if we can get the Y open, we'll have a solution because they didn't give us much time. The notice was maybe a couple of days ago, and then they said that we're going to have to be out by the 25th. So I can't even get my Social Security check on the 3rd to be able to even afford an apartment. Because it's too close. So we need either an extension, which I know is a little bit off topic, or we got to get the Y open. Because if we can get it open, then some people have a lifeline. Yeah, it's not great carrying your clothes around, and it's not great being out by 7 or 6:45, but it's better than nothing.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Mr. Hanlon.
Okay, on the motion, and the motion is to take all necessary action to expend funds for the early opening of the Allentown warming station. That will include at least $25,000 from the mayor and yourself. But it's also says to take all necessary action to expend funds. Mr. Zuckel?
Yes.
Ms. Appa?
Yes.
Mr. Napoli?
Yes.
Ms. Moda?
Yes.
Santos?
Yes.
Ms. Gerlach?
Yes.
President?
Yes.
It passes 7-0.
Thank you. Now we will move on. Ms. Gerlach, you had another motion?
Yes, I'll go ahead since I'll restate it. See, I might need to change it. Okay. So my motion is, and it's already been seconded, but I'm just restating it for clarity, to direct the administration to work with the county to identify and acquire a parcel to lease and or purchase, to include looking at all city and county-owned properties within the next 30 days. This parcel will be used initially as a temporary safe camping location. Part of the motion says to also directing the administration to also work with agencies serving the unsheltered, developers, the philanthropic community, the business community, most importantly, those with lived experience and other stakeholders during this 30-day process. Again, to reiterate, the reason why I'm saying 30 days is because the land exists, the properties exist. You Google, you Zillow, it's there. And this is of the utmost importance. I talked about Marcia and how she's just kind of doing it. Sometimes you got to take a leap of faith. You got to just give things a go and see what happens. And I trust that this administration and our experts in the room, within 30 days, they can figure out something. It might not be perfect. In fact, it won't be. It will not be perfect. Guarantee that. But it will be something. And I also want to acknowledge the fact that we know that the solution is housing. We know that this is not going to fix the problem. None of this is going to fix the problem. We need housing. We need permanent, supportive housing. That is millions and millions of dollars and years. And we can't keep saying, oh, we can't do nothing because we can't do everything. So we have to do something.
$1.5 million you have for Federal Park next year. That's the housing.
So if I could,
That's right.
before you complete that motion, can
Yeah.
we not limit it to safe? Let's talk about the scope a little bit. Do you want to limit it to a safe camping evaluation, or do you want to evaluate for temporary shelter, a la like pallet shelter, California condo, et cetera? We can look at a little more if you want us to.
I mean, I would be open to that. Yeah. So temporary shelter.
Temporary shelter.
I would say temporary shelter. My initial thoughts were just for on August 5th, somehow on August 5th, or at least by September 1st, that folks would be able to have a place to go with a tent, and we wouldn't have to buy pallet homes or anything like that, with the goal of eventually getting pallet homes or something. But I do like the idea of just keeping it very broad and just saying temporary shelter in case you meet someone who's, I don't know, another gentleman that's willing to maybe purchase some pallet homes. So, yeah. So I'll say temporary shelter. And it was seconded by Mr. Zuckel.
Okay. Comments? Questions from my colleagues?
Could I offer one concern before you take public comment? So I appreciate what the woman in Harrisburg is doing. There's a concern that if the city administration is involved in this effort, that we are not in a position where we can make it up as we go along. So I hear where you're coming from, absolutely, and I understand the urgency of the situation. This is where you and I spoke earlier about the need for the philanthropic community or for a private property owner to step up and develop solutions where they can be a little bit more flexible about making it up as they go along, because making it up as we go along, people can get hurt seriously hurt.
So that's
a concern.
Yeah, and I hear you, and I know the concern is about money and liability and being sued. I get that, and we wouldn't be the ones operating. All we would do is we would either acquire the land and or provide an organization with the money to acquire the land. So in terms of liability, in terms of risk, the risk isn't on us. There's wonderful organizations in this city that would be able to operate whatever this site would look like. Yeah.
Giving anybody the expectation that the city is going to run and manage.
Oh, no, we're not qualified to do that.
I mean, I feel it's more of like we're facilitators, like we're just helping bring everyone to the table and get this done as quickly as possible. Yeah. So, okay.
Okay. Questions or comments from my dais? None? The public. Keep in mind on that subject to speak.
Yes, this is only 30 seconds. I talked to Julie Edgar, and she said the only way to prevent sexual harassment is to, there's an overflow room. If the women were in the overflow room, that would solve the security problem. So I direct that to you if you want to make a motion later on. And she's a resident there, so she knows.
I hear you. I can't make a motion on how the Y operates, though. I can't.
They can make a recommendation.
I'm sure when they have conversations, they can talk about
I think there's
safety.
folks in the room for the Y, and we'll forward that to them. Don't forget your we're not going to hold the Moravian against you.
That's my alma mater.
Okay, anybody else?
My name is Vanessa Cornier, and I represent Where the Hat Is Corporation.
Please speak into the microphone.
Sponsoring the Hope Homestead Sanctuary project that I've been developing. I just want to bring a question to you today. There was a report that was put out in January about the housing assessment. Where are you on that proposal, that report? What are the steps that it told you to take to get things done so we weren't here today in dealing with this situation? Thank you.
So normally we don't respond to courtesy of the floor, but in this case, so the report is called Welcome Home. It identified eight strategies for improving housing in the city of Allentown, one of which includes amending our zoning code to allow us to build more housing more densely. It includes streamlining our permitting process. A lot of that is underway. To Ms. Gerlach's point, a lot of it is driven by money.
Phase 1 and 2 were about finding places for this exact situation. What have you done to get there?
That's a good one. That's a great one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening.
Hello, my name is Felice Cragen. I'm an Allentown resident, and I'm speaking on behalf of Queer Trans Lehigh Valley, which is a mutual aid network in the Lehigh Valley. And I want to first thank Councilperson Gerlach for the proposal of that fast-tracked safe space for the people in the encampment. But I would like to address the gap between when the eviction would happen on the 25th and the 30 days until that safe space. What will happen? Because a health risk or a life risk of a flood might be valid, but there's an equal life and health risk of throwing people out onto the street or further down Jordan Creek on the Lehigh River, which I'm aware that a lot of the homeless that have been evicted before tend to go to. And so the flood risk, the life risk will still be there, but these people will be displaced. So I would just like to address that gap in timing and that inconsistency in thinking about risk. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name's Dana. I do. I'm one of the campers down there at Jordan Creek. Major medical issues. The Y opening up would be a great thing. I cannot get heart surgery living in a tent. I have to be in a clean environment. I have to have open heart surgery. I have serious mental issues. It's tough for me to deal with. I think warning station is about the best bet right now. I just like to see something happen that we're not getting thrown out. I have nowhere else to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I was here last week and I spoke to this issue. I'm Dr. Kelly Kinney, and I indicated then that you really need to start including the local colleges and universities in this discussion, because some of the unhoused individuals are students that attend all of these local colleges and universities, extending from Kutztown, the ones that are right here, Cedar Crest, Muhlenberg, Moravian, DeSales, Lehigh, Northampton Community College, Lehigh Carbon Community College. You have these presidents. Mayor, I know your wife is a professor at Muhlenberg. She can perhaps be an ally to us in terms of, to you all, in terms of getting you connected with the president of Muhlenberg. I can be an ally to you in terms of getting you connected to the other presidents of these universities. So again, please, I implore you. I was here last week and I brought this up.
I recall.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Hanlon.
I'm so sorry, and I know this is not the right procedure, but if I come up and make a comment now, am I not allowed to come up after the next motion that comes up? Because I have a lot to say.
No, yeah, you can speak on the motion, each motion, yeah.
So each motion.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It should be to the motion being on the floor.
Okay, hi, I'm Christina. I'm the co-chair for the Allentown Commission on Homelessness. So I don't know what you decided on how much time I should get, but whatever. Thank you very much for everybody in this room for showing up today. That's my first thing that I want to say. This is an amazing turnout for our friends, our neighbors that are struggling right now to figure out where they need to go on August 25th. Last week I was angry, I was fiery. I'm trying to stick to more solutions and ideas and trying to remain calm. I'm still angry. With the motion on the floor about safe camping. Safe camping is a great solution. It's not the only solution. You know what is worse than do you know what is worse than having an imperfect solution? No solution. That is what we were presented with, like I reiterated last week on Tuesday when we were told that the encampment was going to be posted on that Thursday to be kicked out by the 25th. I'm in full support of the YMCA opening up. I thank you for providing the funds to do that. There is no way that the YMCA is going to be able to open by August 25th. No way. It's not the only solution, as one individual already has expressed her concern for this. The safe camping solution, I know you need a plan. I know you can't do things as you move along, but what are you so afraid of? Why can't we start to move towards an actual solution so the individuals that are living there have a place to lay their head, because the YMCA is not going to work for everybody. Why do we need a feasibility study to show you what has already worked across the country? We need these things now.
Please.
August 25th, the YMCA is not going to be open. The safe camping site's not going to be open. Any other idea that we may have, tiny homes, transitional housing, rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, homeless prevention, eviction mediation, there's tons of them because they're being done across the country in cities that are working. It is working to decrease the numbers, not increase the numbers. If you were so concerned about the flood zone, then why has that not been addressed years ago? The three instances that you are referring to, from my understanding, from just reading the local news, was a man that was swimming, a man, not an unsheltered man, a man that needed to be rescued, and unfortunately, the very tragic event of a child that drowned who was also swimming in the creek. I am asking you tonight to please extend the deadline past August 25th to when some actual solution can happen, so that we don't have to worry about people that have no place to lay their head at night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a point of clarification. The three people that we're referring to who were rescued from waterways, we're not referring to the ones that Ms. DiPiero mentioned. So those were publicized events of people who lost, a young person who lost their life, and other people who tragically lost their life, and a couple other folks. We're referring to an overnight rescue where one of our firefighters pulled 3 people out who were clinging to tents. So those didn't make the newspaper, but they're very real events.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of council, the mayor. This problem really, the way I'm analyzing it, I've got to wonder how it got to 100 people. If you had several people down there and we took care of it one by one, we wouldn't be overloading the system in a 15-day period. But now we have the problem. Problem number 1, according to most standards of emergency management, if you displace 100 people, that isn't even a city event anymore. It is really none of our business other than to get the state and the county to step up, create an emergency shelter, get these people in proper shelter as of today, as if we had the flood coming, which, by the way, we do have a hurricane moving towards America. Nobody knows where that's going yet. So now that's problem 1. Problem 2 is we need to get the agencies at wherever we could do a disaster shelter. The equipment's there. The county could do a disaster shelter for 200-300 people if they had to. So all I'm asking is, let's get the people who are supposed to be doing their job, the county, the state legislatures, and our God-blessed Congress to step up and fix the problem, not throw it on the taxpayers of Allentown to solve the problems of the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Riley Cruiser. I represent the Conference of Churches. I'm not only here representing our organization, I'm representing the individuals that didn't want to come up here and speak because they're afraid. I'm here because the individuals we serve outreach on a weekly basis are afraid. They don't know where they're going. So a little bit about me. We bring 5 members of our organization out to the community in these encampments to form relationships with the unsheltered. From this relationship built on trust, many of the goals towards healing, housing, income, and treatment have been obtained. Our unhoused neighbors need this connection back into the community. They rely on this trusted community partner and to help bridge that gap. The recent posting and eviction of the city of Allentown to sweep this camp has led to unsheltered individuals losing the trust in the community and with its community partners. Sweeps only push our unhoused neighbors farther away from our community approach, and many individuals end up in the same spot that they were swept from. Interesting. The same camp was swept 2 years ago, only to come roaring back to life. The data on this sweep includes, and I've been doing this pretty intensively, I helped organize these cleanups. I have data from the end of July, before these encampments were swept, that includes 65 unique individuals from Sumner Avenue to Gordon Street. And I believe this sweep was not necessary. It was unjust, but also unsafe for the unsheltered, our population, and our city. The individuals who have relied on each other for other support and community are now being asked to fend for themselves and being chased out of the woods back into the city alone and scared. Of the 65 individuals, 59 have disclosed that they have a mental health disability. The thought that the city of Allentown would endanger 59 individuals and put them in a state of stress, chaos, and crisis without an alternative solution or place to go is pure negligence. Why the city of Allentown would not reach out to community providers who are helping this population to try and coming up with a solution is disheartening and offensive. Of the 65 individuals, 22 receive Social Security disability income. Of the 65, 62 have been placed on this by name housing list. Of the 65 people who are sick, poor, and disabled, only 19 have wished to enter the YMCA. Due to their dogs or to not being too close to others or due to the YMCA policies, they are not looking to house themselves temporarily. The impact in our Lehigh Valley community will be felt far and wide with this kind of volume. The Sacred Heart Hospital, the Allentown Police Department, the Lehigh County Jail, the Allentown Library, the Allentown Emergency Medical Services will all see more cases in unhoused people. The Allentown Recycling and Waste Management will feel its impacts as they pay high wages towards city workers to bulldoze, remove, and bury all the unsheltered belongings. Allentown Park and Rec Department will see new sites pop up left and right and have to allocate their time and effort to remove these sites. I wish that there would have been this much energy directed towards talking on alternative solutions and best practices. I'm requesting 3 things that this city take into consideration. 1, delay the eviction and give choice to individuals to accept services or to alternative options, such as your YMCA proposal. A safe haven to camp, but preferably a housing unit. Number 2, establish a formal process with community providers to be put in place anytime an encampment sweep is brought to the table in order to prevent mass confusion, cruel practices, and to develop a more humane approach when evicting individuals from encampments. And 3, work and plan towards coming up with affordable housing with people with disabilities. And lastly, thank you, council. Thank you for allowing to come share our voices and for listening to each one of us. Many individuals from the camp who could not and will not come up to speak express deep gratitude, and for that opportunity that you have allowed me to express. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, Mayor, and everybody. My name is Scott Van Dyne. I'm here for one reason and one reason only, is because I care about people and I care about our community and I care about what happens to these people out there. And what I'm hearing here tonight, planning and preparation, yes, is a result of success and what is going to happen and take place. Each one of those individuals that are in that encampment out there right now, all right, let's take ourselves and put us in their position, in their place right now. Is it right and ethical, all right, to take them out of that encampment, out of their environment, out of their safe house, their safe haven, all right, what they call their home, that they went with a backpack and now they have a condominium, which is someplace better than where I live. My heart goes out for all of these people. And I think that we should take each one of us and put ourselves in their place and step into their shoes and say, what if this would be me? I'm a doer. I make things happen. I get things done. I've been with the warming center since 2016, 17, 18 when it was at the pool house. I've been with the YMCA since they opened there. I donate when somebody asks me for money. I'm there. When they need necessities, water, food, I'm there. I'm there as a public motivational speaker. I'm there. My little support, Callie, she's there, and everybody loves her. I'm saying tonight that out of everything that I hear, I'm asking that you put yourself in their position, and let's postpone this date until we have planning and preparation in place, which is a result to success. And as professionals as we are here tonight, everybody can agree that, I mean, I'm here because I love people and I do what I do because I'm a doer and I keep my word. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Sherry Bender, and I'm here representing Ripple Community, Inc. We have a lot of partners in this room tonight, a lot of friends, a lot of neighbors and community members, and so I'm just here to lend my support and echo the call that we've heard tonight to ask for a pause on this eviction. The way that we are going about this is short-sighted. You may have heard what comes to mind to me is this phrase, if you sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind. And I think in our case, what that means in this moment is the trauma we sow today, we will reap tomorrow. I rejoice at the opening of the warming station and thank everyone who worked to get that going and is working to get that going. That's great news. The feasibility study, looking at other options, I support all of those things. What I'm asking is that we wait until those things are done before we forcibly remove people from their homes. In the absence of a better option, the current state is the best option. And I think that's where we're at right now when it comes to this encampment. If we don't choose to pause, the reality is we're not eliminating risk, right? I understand there's a flood risk, but we're not eliminating risk. We're not mitigating risk. We're at best transferring risk, and at worst, increasing risk for the people who are removed from the site. I recognize that keeping this encampment open creates some risk exposure for the city. I understand that. I run an organization. I understand what that has meant for us in the past. But I doubt there are any city services or activities that do not expose the city to risk. And so I ask that the city consider that this is a risk worth taking in this moment, at least until we're able to put a real, valid, viable, better plan in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Seth Campbell. I'm a physician assistant and the program director for Valley Health Partners Street Medicine. It's through the nature of our work that we've come to know some of the folks living in this encampment because we see our patients under bridges, in the woods, on the streets. Wherever my patients are, I go to them. Boston Healthcare for the Homeless ran a study and found that when compared to the general public, folks living outdoors are 10 times as likely to die. When compared to their counterparts staying in shelter, they're 3 times as likely to die. And we see a similar trend here in the Lehigh Valley, with last year an average age of death of 53 and a half for those struggling on the streets. Evictions like this are directly linked to preventable deaths. We're talking about life and death here. In this targeted, direct action, this eviction will make it harder for our program, amongst others, to find and care for our patients. It's ripping away a shred of stability that our patients have had. And research shows that evictions like this worsen physical and mental health conditions. And I think we can all agree that we don't want to make mental health issues worse. I hear a lot about it. And I think we can find common ground there, that we don't want to make the existing PTSD, anxiety, depression, and other mental illness worsen, compound with the loss and resulting suffering of this eviction. Our patients are doing all they can to cope with the extreme stress in which they live without access to regular water, facilities, electricity that we all enjoy. Scheduled follow-ups will be missed, surgeries will be missed, and you can think about the results of that. Brett Feldman, who's the founder of this program back in the day, who's a national expert in street medicine, has been quoted in saying, "To solve issues like this, we need to separate the person from their housing status. We need to hate homelessness, but love the person experiencing the homelessness." It's with this mindset that I think we can all come together. And as a city, I urge the city to postpone this eviction until a long-term solution is agreed upon. I'd ask the city and local counties, cities to come together to look at already owned properties or other places for folks to go, especially couples, husbands and wives that don't want to separate, and especially those with pets who are not welcome to stay together in homeless shelters. Lastly, I'd just like to thank you for your attention, your eye contact, because I think we can work together. And I'd like to invite as many folks that are currently living unhoused, living out on the streets, to share. And I would hope we welcome them to the table when we come up with a solution. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Big Mike. I'm a resident out there at the camp, and I want to kind of bring a face to the displacement issue. So we have a lady down there. Her name is Meryl Beatty. She went into the hospital. She had a bad headache. Hospital didn't seem to want to do anything, so they displaced her from the hospital. 4 hours later, she died in my arms. That is what you're doing to these people. That is what you're doing to us. By not having a plan and having a solution in place and doing what you've done, you're basically killing all of us. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Barbara Redmond with Improving Lives. I'm sitting here watching people's face expression and when people are talking. But I'm gonna tell you a story. I know someone who was had a 401k. She had $2 million in the 401k and she invested it and she lost everything. She's like 3 months from being homeless. So don't think it won't happen to you. You have to open your eyes and realize these people are human. They're human beings. Mm-hmm. And think of what happened to you, your mother, your sister. You don't know what's going to happen to you tomorrow. And I pray that it doesn't happen to you. Thank you.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Tyrone Brunson. I'm pretty sure majority of the people know me, but just sitting in the audience, listening to a lot of the stuff that's going on. And I basically want everybody to put their minds on 9/11. 9/11 basically was a time where everybody, not just one, not just two, but you were digging in a hole for any hand to come up out of that place for the sake of a soul being buried. And I look at the people that's around me and I'm saying, oh, listen, everybody wants to be rescued. They want to have some. I'm a veteran. I'm thinking of an armory. I'm thinking of a high school. I'm thinking of a place basically where temporary housing can be done right away, not tomorrow. And no disrespect, not 60 days, not 90 days, but the expression. The young man was right. If you guys basically were forced out of your home and you wouldn't know what to do, you may rely on someone else to say, hey, listen, I need some help. Well, right now I'm listening to the county. I'm listening to each individual. They're coming to us as a whole, and they're saying, hey, I need some help. You never know when you walk out of this building. They may trip and fall, but they put the onus on each and every one of us. And I'm saying to you guys, I'm listening to them, and I ask you to listen to me. Those who are homeless, those who may be a part of the encampment, they're saying, hey, listen, help me. I'm not sure, what is it, 14 days? There should be something that we can do in an emergency situation where we want to hold hands, we want to have vigils, we want to do this, that, and the third. But I'm expressing to each and every one of you guys, listen, don't go home and go to bed tonight without having this on your head. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Marina Patterson. I am a case manager at Lehigh Conference of Churches. So we work pretty closely with people in different encampments and at Jordan Creek, providing various resources for them. 18 days. That's all the notice over 100 of our neighbors and friends in Jordan Creek were given before being forced to pack up their lives, their homes, and somehow figure out where to go, how to transport their belongings, and where, if anywhere, they could store them. The three solutions on the table today, extending the eviction, opening the Y early, or creating safe camping zones, miss the heart of the problem. Extending the date just delays the harm. Opening the Y is a start, but capacity, safety, and accessibility are concerns. Safe camping zones could work, but only if they're actually safe and paired with real services. While these measures may provide short-term relief, they fall far short of addressing the root causes. If we go forward with eviction without a meaningful, thoughtful plan, here's what will happen. Our jails will be fuller and recidivism rates will increase. Our hospitals will flood with people living on the streets, and our emergency services will be stretched thin, responding to crises that could have been prevented. All of this is happening while our federal government is already stripping away what little support people have left, such as Medicaid and food stamps, making it harder for those without housing to survive, let alone rebuild their lives. As elected officials of the city, you have a moral and civic duty to stand against any authoritarian or dehumanizing actions taken at the federal level and to safeguard the rights, dignity, and well-being of the people you represent and who elected you into office. You each have a choice right now. You can follow through on an eviction on August 25th that will push people into even greater danger, or you can lead by example. Show your constituents that you are here not just to maintain an image of a cleaner Allentown, but to actually create a better one. One where public safety is real, compassion is not weakness, and where the government serves the people, all people. If you want a cleaner, safer, stronger Allentown, start by ensuring that no one is left with nowhere to go. That is your job. That is leadership. That is the Allentown our residents, housed or unhoused, deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Hanlon.
Okay, this is on Councilperson Gerlach's motion on the study to be complete within 30 days. Is that?
Yes. Just to clarify, not for the study to be complete, for a piece of land to be acquired for people to go. Yeah.
Yes. Mr. Napoli?
Yes.
Ms. Moda?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Mr. Gerlach?
Yes.
Mr. Zuko?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
Okay. Thank everybody for being here this evening.
I have another motion. Two, actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. Wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. Well, on the agenda, some of the other bulleted items on the agenda were eviction extension.
Okay.
So, to stick to the agenda. So I understand the concern about legality, that we don't want to get sued, and if a Noah's Ark type of flood comes and someone dies, we don't want to be sued. I also don't think we want to be sued if we evict people and someone dies because of that. Or maybe someone could sue the city for violating one of their amendment rights, the 8th Amendment or the 14th Amendment. There's people who are down there in protected classes with various disabilities, various demographic classes that put them in protected classes. So I don't want to see us in a situation where someone who is unsheltered sues the city because we evicted them. And it's happened in other cities where the unsheltered person will sue the city because they were evicted. And this is post-Supreme Court decision. This has happened. So I am too worried about litigation. So I also know that down at the current encampment, looking at the FEMA map, which came out in 2004, so I guess we've known for a while about the flood zone, that there are brown zones. Brown zones indicate that they are not in the flood zone. So there are brown zones in the current encampment in which, if we were to extend the eviction, people could move to higher ground. Is it safe? No. Nothing is safe when you are unsheltered. Ms. Bender from Ripple made that point pretty clear. When you are unsheltered, you are not safe. But it is safer to be in this higher ground, in the brown zone. So if the eviction is truly about safety in flood zones, let's make sure that the people who are in the flood zone move to higher ground in the brown zone out of the flood zone until we can find a place, a parcel of land, a building, a shelter, and or the YMCA opens. So my motion is to extend the eviction until the YMCA and or a parcel of land can be acquired, and monitor the site to ensure that residents are not living in the flood zone. Yeah, that's it.
I'll second that.
Can I ask a question?
I'll ask our counsel to come in, but that's an administrative decision. You can encourage the administration to extend the evacuation date, but we've made that administrative decision, and we won't change it tonight. We've heard from everybody, and we'll continue to consult, but we won't make a change tonight based on a motion by City Council.
I stand by my motion.
That's fair.
Excuse me.
I am glad that we have a solicitor here. That's what I was waiting for. Thank you.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yeah, nobody seconded the motion.
Yes, she did.
Oh,
She seconded.
Okay, I didn't hear.
Yep.
You don't have to act until you can take discussion first. And the point is, and I asked our solicitor to speak up. I'll state first, the administration is listening to everybody's perspective, right? And I've heard a lot of discussion, and I've definitely heard. I think Christina was still angry. Sherry's probably still angry. Raise your hand if you're still angry, right? I'm still angry too. So one thing that is evident is that everybody's angry about having to make this decision. We've also heard a lot of people who are frankly not qualified to talk about the risks. And very fair point that being homeless is not safe. There's nothing safe about it. When we do the risk evaluation, we lean on the dangers posed to us by professionals who evaluate risk all the time. And then we make decisions. So ultimately, we are the decision makers. And we evaluate the decisions. We make these decisions based on feedback from a host of different individuals who are primarily tasked with the safety of our community. Now, all of that said is just that we're listening, right? But I will not make a snap decision tonight based on a motion from City Council. And to that point, I want to ask Associate Solicitor? Deputy Solicitor Adam Rosenthal to share some insight on our potential responses to a motion from council like this.
So is this a motion to ask the mayor to change the date, or are you trying to change the date yourselves?
I want the date. So I would love to say that this is a motion to ask the mayor. And I would love to say that that will happen. And perhaps it will. Perhaps you will listen to enough folks. Perhaps we will, if we were to pass this and the language were to be to encourage the mayor, that you will be encouraged to do so. I will tell you, though, the purpose for this motion on my end is I don't condone this, and I want it on the record that I am not down with this eviction, and that is why I've decided to make this motion, because I think that this eviction could lead to litigation.
What was the Supreme Court case you were mentioning before?
So the Supreme Court case, the Johnson case, what I mentioned is that the lawsuit that happened by the unsheltered individual happened after that Supreme Court case, because some people would say, oh, well, that Supreme Court case would prevent an unsheltered person from suing. It doesn't, because unsheltered people have sued post that Supreme Court case for being evicted, for having us being swept off of their property. I would encourage you and your legal folks to look. I found it, and I'm terrified that we might get sued. The ACLU has attorneys that can represent people. The Homeless Law Center has organizations that can represent people. And I would be ashamed if someone that's here tonight found that out and got a lawyer.
All right. So per the charter, the mayor controls and directs all of the departments. So you could do a resolution encouraging him or asking him, but directing actions from that would violate the charter. It would be an ultra vires act.
What? Asking, excuse me.
You could ask him to do it, but the mayor, per the city charter, the mayor controls and directs the departments. So you can't order the departments to do something like extend the date.
We're asking, we're not ordering.
Councilperson Gerlach, that's why I asked, but Councilperson Gerlach didn't really give me an answer on that.
Is there an ordinance that stipulates, that governs the sweeping of encampments? Is there an ordinance that governs that?
Depends. There is the parks ordinance that makes you're not allowed to camp overnight in any city parks. These are at least zoned as park. So that would be the ordinance. Both police officers and parks officials have the authority to remove individuals from parks.
So then therefore it's an ordinance, therefore it's legislative, therefore it's our prerogative.
No, the charter says that the mayor directs all departments.
I'm saying, though, you just stated an ordinance that states what the rules are in terms of camping in public parks, and I would imagine the violations for doing so. You just said if you're camping there that you can be asked to move, and that's what we're doing. We're asking people to move. So you've stated that there's an ordinance of which we can pass, we can amend. That's a legislative thing. But you're saying that
it won't be illegal. You're going to need to amend the charter to have the power to direct the departments.
I think the point that she's making is that if they wanted to amend,
you could amend the ordinance.
You could amend the ordinance, but you need to.
Yeah, I mean, we can't do that tonight, but
correct.
We have a meeting on August 20th.
You'd still need 2 weeks, I think. But the point being is that the mayor, if you pass a motion saying, hey, we encourage the mayor to reconsider this, absolutely we'll take it under consideration.
So then I will add the language that to encourage the mayor and his administration to extend the eviction until the YMCA and or the parcel can be acquired, with continuous monitoring. I'll add to that continuous monitoring by outreach workers and the support of public safety to make sure people are not in the flood zone. So there you go.
May I please make a statement now? Been trying to do. Ms. Gerlach, I completely agree with you. I believe everyone here is very happy that we're going to give money, we're going to open the shelter, we're going to do all this, that. But what everybody wants here is an extension. Nobody wants to have these people thrown out. We as council had no idea this was going on. We all found out on Tuesday. And some of us Wednesday morning that this was even happening. And now it's dumped here. 2 days, we're listening to it. We're listening to all of you. You're pleading with us. Ms. Gerlach is making a motion. And we should have the right. This has been dumped in our lap to begin with. We should have the right to say, listen, yes, we're listening to you. We're spending 2 hours, 3 hours. The other night, the same thing. We did not know anything about this. But since we do, what we want to do right here, I'm sure everyone on council wants an extension.
Yes. Do you need them to sign a waiver? A waiver that they're not gonna, that it's okay for them to stay in their encampment and they are not going to be held accountable if you will not be held accountable if the flood comes through. Is that what you need? Because the flood zone has been there for years.
And nobody's passed from the flood zone.
I've been sitting here thinking, excuse me for interrupting.
Can you stand and to the podium?
Hi, I'm Vanessa Fletcher. I'm a committee to advocate for the homeless. I've been sitting here thinking about, since we had the flood problem for years, why not put retention walls up along the banks of the river? So when the water does rise, it's not going to flood and go throughout the whole park. So then that way, the people down there will be okay in their tents. Nothing will get destroyed. Nobody's going to drown. Put retainer walls up. Like the cement walls that are on the highway, in the middle of the highway. Do something like that.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Solicitor, ma'am, we're not taking comments at this time.
Oh, I wanted to reply to
Not
what
at
you were
this
saying.
time. Thank you.
Okay.
So Ms. Gerlach wanted a motion to encourage the mayor to extend the extension. Is that on the table now?
Yes, and it was seconded by Ms. Santos, and then we got feedback from the solicitor and the mayor, and then at some point, I guess we'll have public. Oh, so my time was extend until the Y can open and or until a parcel of land can be acquired for folks to go to. So it's almost as in a way an incentive. The quicker they get going and find a place, then the quicker they can evict. If that's what, because a safety.
Can I count on city council to join me in warning people when there's impending floodwaters on September 15th?
Yes. I'll be there. Anybody else? Yeah.
Everyone knows there was a lawsuit filed, right? And that happened because back when this first started, as Mr. Spang said, there was only like 5 people there. I believe the mayor might even have said it in the beginning. And nothing happened. Then it got to be 25. And it got to be 50. Nothing got done. Mr. Hyman was quoted in a newspaper saying he agreed to help the city to fix the problem. And no one wanted to help him. And last week, let me finish. Last week, people came in here and beat him up when in fact, he's not the one that posted it. It was posted by the city. All of a sudden, it's a floodplain. It wasn't a floodplain for the last 10 years that I'm aware of. And it's my understanding that there's a status meeting August 25th with regards to this lawsuit. That's the information I've got. Now, interesting enough, this eviction has to take place on August 25th. So there's a connection here between that
No, it's
and the
absolutely
lawsuit.
not true. And there's
So
a lot of
why the
circumstances.
25th then?
That was what we worked on with our public service team, with our firefighters.
Why not the 27th?
We chose the 25th because it was a Monday, Mr. Zuckel.
That's the date that I believe.
We chose the 25th because it was a Monday.
Well, I'll get more information for you if you need so.
Go for it.
I'll do that. So there's the guy that's the problem, and council's the guys that got to put up with it.
That's right.
So there's a motion.
So point of order, then now you have public comment.
Before the vote.
Yes, this would be public comment on this Councilperson Gerlach's motion.
So right now, if you're going to come up, you're only talking about extending the eviction until the Y opens and the parcel of land is acquired. That's what you're talking about. You're not talking about anything else.
All right.
My name's Elizabeth Greiner. I used to teach environmental education. Retaining walls along rivers do not work. The question of moving people out of the flood zone was not considered at all when the luxury apartments were built on Martin Luther King further down Jordan Creek. And right now they're building a housing development across the little bridge of the Jordan Creek. No, that's not the Jordan Creek. That's a Little Lehigh, I believe. Okay, but those concerns, we have seen the water up over Martin Luther King Parkway, and they built there. And we know that the area where they're building right now, this whole housing development, is in a flood zone. The major concern, if you live in a flood zone, is will there be a flash flood? Because then you do not have warning and you cannot evacuate. If you know that there's a lot of rain and you live downstream and that 2004 map is probably incorrect at this point because a lot of trees have been taken down upstream on the Jordan, then you can move out and be safe.
Yeah. I want to call a spade a spade. I called out Pulowski. I'm calling out Mayor Turk, because if you're not willing to commit.
Sir,
Wait, let me finish.
address me.
Okay, I'm sorry, okay.
You're
If
addressing
he's not-
council, not the mayor.
If he's not willing to, if he's tonight to commit to extend the date, he's tied to Nat Hyman and probably Nat Hyman money. That's the answer. That's what it is. Thank you.
Good evening.
Jim Spang, Riverfront Civic Association. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there's two of us here that were educated by Peter Sardo, and that's myself and that Darrow guy up there. The problem we have, we're using the word eviction. This is not an eviction. This is not enforcing a city ordinance like our attorney has now put it on the record. So this is an emergency condition. We left it get out of control to 100 people. Bring in the county EMA, get them involved, get a shelter, get them out of there. Because if you don't do that, the city of Allentown, all of you and me as a taxpayer are now liable because we didn't enforce a law that's on the books. We don't choose what laws we enforce. The laws are put there by city council, and it's for the whole city. So if we take the rule about camping in a city park away, then great. I'll take my summer vacation, move it out to West Park, get a nice tent, and I can enjoy all the concerts. See how that's going to go. I'm just saying it's an emergency condition. Deal with it, handle it as such, get everybody in a safe spot, get the proper social agencies in. And when we get a complaint of several campers, deal with it then. Don't wait till we get 100 people at risk. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Hanlon.
Sorry.
Oh, one more gentleman.
Good evening, Council. My name is Dominic Trabasi. Thank you for hearing me tonight. I'm here to formally oppose the sweep of the Jordan Creek encampment at the behest of slumlord Nat Hyman. I refuse to let the council or mayor mislead us that this is purely about the safety of our homeless population, because we would have addressed this issue previously if that were the case. I'm not naive to the fact that potential lawsuits like those from Nat Hyman get the city sweating. This is a man whose reputation could quite literally not be worse, and it's extremely concerning that we're even considering bending to the whim of his demands. Kicking homeless people out from where they reside has never and will never be a method to combat homelessness. So why are we doing this now? These are members of our community. It is in our best interests and your duty as members of council to do what is best for the people, prioritizing us over profits. In a world where housing is becoming increasingly unaffordable, we should refuse to be on the side of history that makes the lives of the homeless even harder than it already is. What we need are tangible actions to decrease the likelihood of homelessness. That means affordable housing, higher wages, and programs that lift up those living in poverty while making those that hoard the wealth pay for it. It is not forcibly moving people around until corrupt landlords decide they are no longer an eyesore. We're not asking you to leave things the way they are. We're asking you to focus your efforts on productive measures. We don't force homeowners in areas of high risk of hurricanes damage to permanently leave their homes. So why are we forcing people with nowhere to go to up and leave? I'm extremely disturbed about the lack of long-term solutions for these folks. The mayor's deflection to nonprofits or philanthropists for said solutions worries me. For now, I support Councilwoman Gerlach's proposal to acquire a piece of land for the encampment, and I thank you for that motion. It's time to stop kicking the can down the road. The city of Allentown is watching tonight to see if the council is for the people or for the landlords. I hope you'll make the right decision. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Cheyenne. I'm from Easton. I'd like to start by stating I do not believe the denial in regard to Hyman's lawsuit impacting this decision. Instead, I recognize how our systems and representatives collaborate to protect the interests of capital. My city is no stranger to Hyman and his antics, his rushed construction projects, his disregard for processes and regulation, or his frivolous lawsuits. Reviews of his properties from tenants and even his own employees are a testament to his contributions to the Lehigh Valley. Endless complaints of abuse and neglect, dilapidation, roaches, mice, and mold ignored by Hyman properties. Nat Hyman doesn't care about the city of Allentown. Nat Hyman doesn't care about the unhoused or his fellow human beings, and Nat Hyman does not care about his tenants. His tenants who work their lives away to pay his bills and fund his lawsuits so that he might turn around and bully their own cities into doing whatever he wants, this time attacking the most marginalized. Developers like this are not uncommon, but they are a parasitic scourge on the Lehigh Valley. To watch the city bow down to these demands is unacceptable. To make excuses around it is even worse. Your job as elected officials is to protect and help the people of Allentown while representing their best interests and needs. And that means all of the people of Allentown, whether they voted for you, whether they vote at all, whether they live in homes, or whether they stay in encampments. This city needs tangible change, not afterthought proposals and temporary measures. These people need housing. The very existence of this encampment exemplifies the failures of this city, and now you seek to take away what little the most marginalized members have. There is no reason that there should have to be dozens of us here to tell you that as public servants, we expect you to value human lives over profit margins and red tape. I'm asking you tonight to maintain your humanity, maintain your empathy, and show the city what you stand for. Delay the eviction, develop real solutions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Blake Henry. I live at 1642 West Turner Street. I have a question about how much the city really cares about this issue, because later on, or later this afternoon, or it might be pushed, you guys are going to talk about a $134 million bond. And within that, there is nothing about any type of shelter or any type of anything that would benefit these people. And I would think if it is a priority, right, it might show up. So that is just something I would put forward, right? Like, let's look at the line items and see if we really put our money where our mouth is.
Okay.
Good evening,
Good evening.
City Council. My name is Charlene Smalls, and I have been working in this community for over 25 years. For the first time, I hear City Council talking about solutions to homelessness. I am a homeowner in the Jordan Heights area. And I am respectfully asking you to extend this eviction. This issue is not going to go away until we all work together for solutions. The solution is a year-round shelter. A solution is affordable housing. And today I can say that for the first time in a long time, that I am proud of this city council for taking this issue and bringing solutions for the first time in a long time. As a resident, and there's so many other things that I can say as a homeowner in that community, but I'm not gonna say anything to set this back. Many people have said many things tonight. We have people with mental health issues. We have people who have been hospitalized that are being sent back to encampments to heal. This has to stop.
Mr. Mayor.
May I just interject very quick, a couple things quickly? And I think I don't want to lose. I think some people are making comment and then leaving, and I want them to make sure they get all the context appropriate. First, I want to jump in again and reiterate that our action here has zero to do with pending litigation. It has zero to do with Nat Hyman. If you ask Nat Hyman, I think you'll find that he does not consider me or this administration to be a friend. So we're not doing this at the behest of Nat Hyman or any other developer. The motivation for the decision to evacuate, to use Chief Spang's language, or eject the encampment, to use the language, some additional language, but not evict. The motivation for this is an assessment provided by the Allentown Fire Department administration. And I'm going to ask Deputy Chief Christian Williams to come up and just for a couple minutes provide some context to both to City Council and to the folks here on what went into the assessment, to just provide a little bit of clarity. I think this isn't public comment. This is just helping provide context to everybody so they understand where the motivation comes from. I'm asking for that indulgence, and I think it's helpful for context for the people who are gathered here today as well.
Go ahead. I believe it's appropriate.
All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Christian Williams. I'm the Deputy Fire Chief. I'll also serve as a Deputy Emergency Manager for the city. And wow, I pressed send on an email. I did not expect that we would all end up here the way we did. But let me give a little bit of background on how we came to be here. So a lot of information has been put out here about flood zones, when they were flood zones. Now, we understand all that. This has, as far as I know, been a flood zone for as long as I can remember. I've been here 26 years. So as emergency managers, one of our jobs is to be continually looking at places where we see risk in the city. And if we see a place where there's a risk, we want to take actions to be able to mitigate that before something happens. And the easiest way to prevent the tragedy would be to make sure that when we identify it, that we take actions to remove that population, however it is, from the area of risk. This came to be not because of any lawsuits, because frankly, the fire department isn't following along with the business of Mr. Hyman. I wish I could give a better explanation, and this was just a personal thing for me. Every time it floods, we make sure that we try to get the message out, or that we know flood is coming, which is difficult because flash floods come quickly, and the warnings are not always timely. And there's also becomes you have warning fatigue, where you get too many warnings. We had flash flood warning today, and nothing materialized. So we had the rescues in May, where we had to help people out of some situations where there's high water. Fast forward a few weeks later, and something innocuous is I went to Cub Scout camp with my son. So I was away at Cub Scout camp the last week of June, had a great time with my son. When I came back after that week, we had the events at Camp Mystic in Texas. It hit me specifically, especially hard, I should say, having just come from a camp with children. And I followed the story very, very closely. And I was looking at it, and that was hard because I sat there having just been at a camp with my son, and I thought, my goodness, like these kids, I just watched my son and his friends have like the time of their lives, and to think about young people having the time of their lives and have that flood event happen, it just got me thinking. And as an emergency manager for the city, I thought, you know what, we have people that are literally camping in a flood zone, and we know it, and we're not taking any action to handle that, and it bothered me. So I went to fire chief and the rest of the emergency management team, and I said, you know, we know this is a flood zone. We're following what just happened in Camp Mystic. They're saying that Camp Mystic was in a flood zone. Everybody knew they were in a flood zone, and they let them keep building, and they let them occupy this space. And they kept on thinking nothing was going to happen. And I said, I don't feel good about this. I don't think that this is right, that we have a whole bunch of people camping in an area that's a danger. And I said, we have to do something about it. And I would say about a week went by or something like that, and I had another talk with the team, and I said, you know, here's the floodplain map. This is where it is. I drew a quick cursory red box over the rough area of where the majority of the camp was. And you know, we said, let's share it with some stakeholders. Let's see what we need to do about this and how we can remedy this before a tragedy happens. So I decided to, with permission of the fire chief, I said, how about I just type it up in an email real quick to make it easier to share on Close the Map, and that way when you want to share it with other stakeholders so we can see what our fear is, that we can make it share, we can share it. And that's how this whole thing started. So no intention was ever to help a lawsuit or to even sit there and say that, oh, you absolutely can't be, in a park. We weren't thinking about that at all. I mean, our key thing was, we know we have people
permeable surfaces to floodplains increases flood risk. Concrete is non-permeable, asphalt is non-permeable. And when rivers flood, if the water can't sink into the soil, it's got to go somewhere, and that makes floods worse. So why are we not asking developers who want to develop in a way that increases the flood risk for our community to pay for some of the cost to offset that risk, right? If there was some sort of a fee for developers related to flood risk, for developing new properties along these creeks, we could fund solutions for unhoused people who are currently living along these creeks to be in safer areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
My name is Jillian Wenhold. I'm the local organizer for Lehigh Valley Stands Up. I'm going to start by saying that you walked down and are committing to walking down to the encampment and giving people a warning with no offer of help or support on where they're supposed to go and then blame them for the outcome is unfair. If we want to talk about doing the right thing here, the right thing is to leave this encampment alone or provide a safe alternative and transportation to the folks living in the encampment and all of their belongings. Also, comments have been made tonight that the solution to this housing crisis that we're living in right now is to build more units, and that's simply not enough. When we are talking about housing and making Allentown and the Lehigh Valley a place where everyone has safe and dignified housing, only focusing on attainability and increasing the number of units just doesn't cut it. Our neighbors and your constituents are still unhoused. Rent is still unaffordable. And sometimes we have to do the hard thing and not side with developers and property owners who just care about their own pockets. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, Council. I'm Alicia, Allentown resident. I just want to say that our unhoused neighbors can't pause their existence from the 25th until the shelter opens or a safe site is open. Knowing about this flooding issue for months and not letting council know and not giving the people living in the encampment more than a few weeks notice to find a new place to go with no solutions is unbelievably cruel. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Lou Shoup, you know who I am. August 2nd, 1988, my father, Norman Herbert Markham, was murdered in a homeless camp along the Jordan Creek. You know what's changed between 1988 and now for the homeless people here in Allentown? Nothing. Do something. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is John Favini. I'm a Fountain Hill resident, but I am a professor at Muhlenberg College where I teach in the Department of Anthropology and Sociology. That'll be relevant in a moment. And I'm also a member of the Lehigh Valley chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America. I just wanted to say, I've noticed that the administration, the mayor, you've based much of your case as to why we must evict on April 25th on the expert opinion of the fire department regarding the risk of flooding. But when asked to explain the fire department's risk assessment, the deputy fire chief did not point to new data, to maps that they have that we don't have access to, or to some specialized knowledge, but to a story that he saw on the national news in Texas and a floodplain that we've known was there for decades. I fear that we are overvaluing the expertise of the fire department on flooding and dismissing the expert opinion of our unhoused neighbors on the challenges of living without a home, right? They are the experts. They are the experts on that particular predicament, right? They've been doing it. And so I want to add my voice to theirs because the risks associated with camp sweeps are tremendous. And I'm going to take a second to point to some of the social science on this, right? Because there are lots of people that have gone out and interviewed lots of homeless folks before and after these camp sweeps, and we see that the effects are tremendous. We know that forced removals come with lots of loss of resources. People have tents, medicine, bikes. All these things are essential resources to survive when you're unhoused. And if they get lost in the process, you're all the worse off. Seldom do people that get pushed out in these sweeps end up in permanent housing, but instead go to more dangerous, more isolated areas where it's harder to reach, where it's harder for public health officials to find them. Sometimes we do have shelters they can go to, but as we've heard from several folks today, if they're not in the shelters now, they probably have some reason for choosing the camp instead. So we need to understand what that logic is before we assume that we can just push them out and they will go to a shelter. These camps come with community, and homeless folks survive on reciprocity. They share food, they watch each other's stuff, they depend upon neighborliness just like the rest of us do. There are higher risks of sexual assault once these people are pushed out of these camps. That's a documented trend that social scientists have documented across the country. There are increased risks of crime because when you get pushed out of these places, again, you end up in worse neighborhoods, you end up in more isolated locations, you end up interacting with people, doing illicit activities, and of course, you're in a worse situation financially to begin with. So there's additional costs that then accrue for the city as well. So I'm just saying I want us to value the expert opinion of our unhoused neighbors that a sweep would be catastrophic. And I ask that the mayor and council do so as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
What John said.
What's that? Yes, there.
How you doing? I think I'm lost. I'm Brett Schaefer. I'm an Allentown resident, and I just wanted to point out that it seems to me like the only person in here that wants that deadline to stay is the mayor, and I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. Okay, there's a motion on the floor.
Okay, this is on Ms. Gerlach.
And I did just want to clarify, and if we can't handle this tonight, by golly, it will be coming up as an ordinance, as a legislative body. The ordinance states the police department and Park and Recreation Bureau employees shall have the authority to order any person or persons acting in violation of this chapter to leave the park or recreation area. So my read of that is that the police department and Park and Recreation Bureau employees are empowered through this ordinance, not through the mayor. I didn't go to law school, but that's just my read. Got into law school though.
He's bringing up the Home Rule Charter.
So I'm referencing the ordinance.
And he's referencing the charter.
And I'm referencing the ordinance. Look at us. So I'm saying in the ordinance, Parks and Rec and the police are empowered by the ordinance, not by the mayor. For this specific action, for telling someone to get out of the park, that they can't camp in a tent in the park, that Parks and Rec or police officer is empowered through this ordinance to tell them not to do that.
You heard the Deputy Williams, correct? They're not removing them because of that ordinance. It's a health safety matter. You got it.
And the ordinance references health safety issues that you cannot conduct in a park. And if you are in violation of of the ordinance by conducting illegal health safety issues, a parks and recreation, or a police officer may ask you to leave. That's what the ordinance states.
All right, so direct and supervise the administration of all departments, offices, and agencies of the city except as otherwise provided by the charter or by law. That's the mayor's power.
That is great. And the power of the ordinance states.
Charter trumps the ordinance. If you want to change the charter, you have to go through the whole amendment process.
We'll be back on Wednesday.
And then state law would trump the charter.
Does the charter mention anything about camping or staying overnight anywhere in a tent or recreational vehicle?
No, charter doesn't get that specific.
The ordinance does.
Mm-hmm.
So in some situations, we're going to follow the ordinance, but in this, we're going to.
You legislate.
Yes, we legislate, and legislatively.
Correct. And then I, as the mayor, have the administrative authority to direct departments and bureaus. So we enforce the laws that you put in place. We are ultimately the administrative decision makers.
Yeah, the mayor has the full discretion to enforce the laws per the charter.
But I think the particular dispute over who has control over
the reason why the dispute's coming up is I want to make sure people don't get evicted, and I know that you're listening, but I want to, if we would know that we had this power, which I believe we do through this ordinance, you can disagree, but I disagree with you, and I believe that we do have this power, then we could extend this eviction based on the ordinance. You're saying, the solicitor is saying that we don't have this power to do so. So, I mean, that's the reason why I'm pressing this point. So I would, instead of just encouraging you, I would like to be able to direct you to, but you're saying the solicitor on record is saying that we can't do that.
Yeah, correct. You can't direct departments.
Okay, I just wanted to get that. So then I guess the language is still encouraged, but I don't know how people are going to vote, but I think it's, we'll see what happens, but it will be on you. It will be on you.
I would encourage you all to vote in unanimity and as a group, encourage the mayor to take that action that you're hearing from the people that you serve. But I have to take it back and make a decision. I have to make a decision based on not just what I'm hearing from people who live at the encampment and people who care about the people who live at the encampment, but the people that work for the city of Allentown and also have the safety of those residents in mind. So ultimately, the decision lies with the mayor, and I do the risk assessment, and I understand the risks associated with displacing people and the trade-off that we face, as I mentioned in my opening statement, of the risk associated with death. And that's why I ask all of you, when we don't have certainty when these events will occur. And so I think you have been down there. I don't know if anybody else has been down there in the past few days, but when I've spoken with the people down there, they're all thinking about where they're going to go and where they're going to be out of this flood area. And our position, the compassionate position that the city has taken since the middle of April, has been, if we don't have a safer place for you to go, we're not going to bother you.
It's not a new risk. The risk has been there forever.
So,
why not?
Just
shout out.
one more thing so then what I would say as you and your team, after we vote tonight, depending on what the outcome is, you've encouraged us to vote yes, that when you guys get together, we've got the brown zone. It is not in the floodplain. Miss DiPiero, that's her name, right? Yes. She had stated, she read verbatim an email from a city staff that said the main concern.
So what I'd offer to you, and those flood maps are supported by surveyors, and none of us would know if we're standing in the brown zone or the blue zone if we're standing out there.
So mark the line. Mark the line.
I'm not trying to be cute. My point is just that the difference between the brown zone and the flood zone is not immediately evident to anybody when we're out there.
So we have 12 days to figure it out so that these people can move up. We cannot throw these people into the street. That doesn't make sense.
I'm done. All right, there's a motion on the floor.
That's
Ma'am.
uncompassionate.
You've been waiting to speak.
12 days is all we have left. 12 days.
That's okay. I actually have a question. I wasn't sure if this was going to be the final public comments because I thought on the agenda after you vote, then you're going to adjourn. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Moving on agenda. Not agenda now?
No, it's not. It's on this. But so I do. I can start. You answered my question. There's no other public comments after this, correct? Yes. So my name is Jessica Saxton. I am well, first of all, let me ask what, and you may not even be able to answer this, but what's going to happen if these people, when they are evicted by your police?
No, you can't ask questions. Public comment. You may comment.
Okay. So if they're not evicted, then what's going to happen, to the people that are there? My name is Jessica. I'm a civil rights advocate and litigator from Washington, D.C. I'm here to provide public notice, and this is in accordance with USCS Rules of Civil Procedure as well as Rule 17 and Rule 20 of the United States Supreme Court. The Constitution for the United States is the overarching requirements that every state must follow. I don't think anyone here would disagree with that. States are not able to enact their own alternative legislation and substitute it for the guarantees of the Constitution. That would mean that your state laws are more powerful than the Constitution. That is unlawful. Clause 1 of Amendment 5 states that no person should be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment or indictment by a grand jury. However, the state of Pennsylvania has enacted its own alternative legislation that substitutes your prosecuting attorneys and your police officers to charge by way of information as opposed to indictment. That is unlawful. An emolument violation is when you pay a public official to break the law. There are two areas of the Constitution that reinforces this. The first is Article 1, Section 10, and that's where it states that no state shall create any law that shall impair the obligation of contract. So police officers, your prosecutors, your judges, they're all under a contract. That's a contract to perform based upon the oath or affirmation that they took to support and defend the Constitution. The contract perimeters are defined within the Constitution. So when a state enacts a law and then directs their agents to disobey that law, that is in fact a violation of Article 1, Section 10. The 14th Amendment is the other place that you'll find this reinforcement of the issue, and that's where it states that no state shall create or enforce any law that shall abridge the privileges or immunities of United States citizens. Privileges and immunities of United States citizens are at a bare minimum those that are enumerated within the Bill of Rights and the first 10 amendments. They cannot be impaired, ever. The state of Pennsylvania, unfortunately, has enacted a law in its inferior constitution that is permitting public officials and law enforcement officers whom you all pay to violate the rights of the people and thus violate the Constitution. As a result, we have an inordinate amount of people currently in prison here in the state of Pennsylvania, illegally and unconstitutionally. Mr. Tanoa Downing is preparing to litigate this issue at the United States Supreme Court on behalf of more than 700,000 people currently imprisoned here unconstitutionally in America. I'm here to provide notice to you today that you cannot continue to pay public officials to break the law. That is a crime. And I do have a notice that I would like to give to the city clerk, please, to put on the record, and you guys can take this and read it at a later time. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
So my name is Tanoa Downing. I'm the civil rights litigator from Washington, D.C. that Ms. Saxton was just talking about. I'm here because I want to provide a little bit of clarification so we can understand what just happened, what was just said. I have approximately 46,000 criminal affidavits on behalf of affected victims that have been charged by way of information, not by indictment, as required by the Constitution of the United States of America. Now, these affidavits, they identify two different crimes. The first crime is Title 18, subsection 242, which is deprivation of rights under color of law. What that statute says is that any person who, under the color of any state statute, ordinance, custom, or regulation, deprives any person of any rights secured by the Constitution commits that crime. The second crime is Title 18, subsection 241, which is conspiracy to deprive of rights. What that statute says is that when two or more persons conspire for the purpose of depriving any person of any rights secured by the Constitution commits that crime. So when your police officers, whom you all pay, when they go out and they choose to rely upon an inferior state statute that directs them to charge by way of information, not by indictment, as required by Clause 1 of Amendment 5, they are committing a crime. Both of these, in fact, when they hand it to a judge and ask that judge to hold this person over and that judge decides to do so, they've established a conspiracy by and between themselves and the prosecuting attorney. What we're here today is to let you guys know that we're no longer going to allow you to continue to pay your public officials to commit crimes against the people of the United States in violation of the Constitution of the United States. Now, the law is a criminal conspiracy for public public officials. What that states is that any person who, having knowledge of any of the wrongs conspired to be done and who have the power to prevent or aid in the prevention of a commission of same, neglects or refuses to do so, may be joined in dispensing the action. So upon being provided with this notice, letting you know that you're paying for police officers to go out and commit an unconstitutional act and a crime, then I'm going to ask you guys to please, let's go ahead and stop doing that. You can either, one, stop paying those police officers to commit the crimes, or two, you can direct them to act in a lawful constitutional manner consistent with the obligations that they have codified in the Constitution for the United States of America. The alternative is that we will have to start converting these criminal affidavits into criminal complaints, and I don't want to go down that path, and neither do you want me to head down that path. So we've been in contact with the director of the FBI, as well as also Senator Kennedy of the Senate Judicial Oversight Committee. They both agreed that when the state and the agents of the state decide that they're going to bridge federal law, particularly constitutional law, they are subject to arrest. We don't want to go down that path, so don't make us have to do it, please. Now, I'm not saying these are good people. I'm not saying these are lawful people, but what I am saying is these are all rightful people who had rights that were constitutionally protected that your agents have chosen to abridge, and we need to stop doing that. So I implore you to please step up, discharge the duties of your office, fulfill the obligations and promise that you made to the people of the state of Pennsylvania. Let's choose to protect, defend, and preserve the Constitution for the United States of America. Thank you guys so much. God bless. Thank you.
I've been waiting for 2.5 hours to fully speak. Am I able to? Good. Okay, so you all know who I am, and I'm gonna. Huh? Okay, fine. I'm with What's Really Going On in America, Quinn Allen. Okay. When Mayor Tuck started his mayorship of this town, I told him on a live feed that he should go to Operation Address the Homeless to see how they can work together on helping the homeless get off the streets so then they can become independent. Operation Address the Homeless came up with a wonderful plan for a pallet community and to help them to live temporarily so then they can get jobs, finally get a place to live and be independent. Not once has he ever done that. And I asked every single one of you to do the same. And I did see one of you go into Operation Address the Homeless, but to feed the homeless. And you all have the power to do so much more to work for us, for we the people, but it hasn't been done yet. So can we please start doing our jobs? Because if you did your jobs, none of these people would be here tonight because we would not have the big issue of homelessness in this town that we have today.
That's right.
And it was on Mayor Tuck's live feed under my Facebook name, business name, by the way.
Okay, this is on the motion to encourage the mayor and the administration to extend the eviction date until the Wise Open or a parcel of land becomes acquired. On that motion, Ms. Mona.
Yes.
Santos?
Yes.
Mona? Ms. Gurla?
Yes.
Mr. Zuko?
Yes.
Zappa?
Yes.
Mr. Napoli?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Mr. President, I have 7 yeas and no nays.
Okay. Now you have one other motion, Ms. Gerlach?
Indeed, I do. The motion is concerning worst case scenarios. Worst case scenario, August 25th, we've got people who've got to be evicted. They've got to find some place to go. They're going to have to disassemble their tent. And what I've been told from the experts, doctors that have came here and outreach workers, is when you disassemble a tent that was only meant to be camped in for like the weekend, you can't quite put it together again. So folks will need new tents. Folks will need tarps because, again, a tent is not meant to be a living